JJ, thank you so much for making time to speak with me. Had a chance to hear Mercy. All I could think about was raw. Like, you know, the rock influences, the blues influences, the country influences, the southern rock country influences, the soul influences, all in one song. It's funny, when I was listening to it, I thought to myself, remember the movie, I think it was back in the 80s, Young Guns and Young Guns 2?
I don't know if I saw that. Crap,
okay,
I gotta watch it.
If you see it, because it's got a lot of those stars from back then, Kiefer Sutherland is in it and stuff.
Love it.
That song sounds like something that would have been in there. In fact, John Bon Jovi sang the theme song for that. Was it Bed of Roses, I do believe. But I thought to myself, that's like a old school Western kind of song where, you know, the bad guy and the batter guy are going at it one-on-one. Congratulations on such a raw single.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No, you know what? I appreciate you and your whole story, which is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this new single. I want to talk about everything about you. But before we get into that, 2 questions right off the top. One, as we speak, it's a snowy day out there. So where are you and how are you handling this snow? And 2, how are you dealing with this new world as we are ending 2020? And, of course, Ontario has been announcing that they'll be getting the vaccine and stuff. But it's still been a crazy year with COVID-19, mask versus no mask, the election in the U.S., Karen and Kevin's, and Black Lives Matter, and you know, racism being spoken, and I can just keep going on and on. Who would have thought 1 year would have so much?
It has been an insane year. It has been absolutely crazy. As far as the pandemic goes, I've been just at home and trying to focus on writing and stuff, but it is a little difficult as a musician that relies on live shows to not feel some sort of, I don't know, frustration, anxiety, you know, all that stuff surrounding, are we going to play again? Is this what, you know, my future looks like as a musician? It gets kind of scary, but I have just been trying to focus on the writing aspect and using the downtime, which I wouldn't have if I was on tour, to write as much as I can and, you know, working on a new album. But then as far as the rest of the year has gone, it's insane. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement, I think, is so important, and, you know, it's something that shouldn't have taken this long to come to the forefront of people's attention, but I'm glad that it did, and I think that there's still a lot of fighting to do with that. It's not just, you know, oh, we went to a couple rallies and that's it. Like, there's still a lot of work to do. But even showing with the current election that finally that orange stain of a president is out.
Oh, my God, that is the best example.
Yeah, he is literally like an orange stain on history, on the mark of history. But
you realize I'm never going to look at the color orange the same after what you said.
Yeah, but it's very encouraging to see that this year so many more people voted, and it was a really important thing, and to see the progress of that and to have somebody like that out, it just shows that there is hope and there is possibility. So, I mean, it's encouraging in that sense, but there's still a long way to go for Americans. I mean, for people in general. But I mean, I'm happy with how the election turned out. I think that, you know, this year has been a test in a lot of ways for a lot of people, but it's also showing that people can band together and be strong and push forward. And that's what I've seen a lot this year.
I feel like your life was prepared for something like this, because when I looked over your bio and the things that you have done, I mean, you are blue collar to the core. I mean, you know, excuse my language, work your ass off. and you know, no matter how much somebody pushes you back, you still step forward. Like, you worked for this success, and congratulations on it. Where does that passion come from?
Thank you. I've always believed that there was something I wanted to do, and there definitely have been a lot of obstacles in the way and a lot of different situations, but I think that they've all kind of added to the experience of my life, which is stuff I can write about. And I've just always been passionate about music. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It's kind of like you just got to do it. If it's something that you want, I don't want to be the reason it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's everything else can step in your way, but as soon as you're the reason that it's not happening, well, that's the problem. You know, like nothing else can really stop you if you really try. But it's I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I guess just having a good supportive family. I mean, it's only this year that they stopped asking if I was going to get another job, but
I love how you said another job, because weren't you at one point working like 3 or 4 different jobs?
I was. Yep. I was working a serving job at a brewery. I was also bartending at a music venue, and I was a receptionist at a spa, and also playing gigs as much as I could 3 times a week sometimes. It was intense. It was very intense.
So for the love of music, though, where did that all come from?
I think, well, my family was very musical in the sense that, like my cousins on my mom's side, every time we get together, we would end up jamming. Like, there's a lot of people that play guitar, a lot of people that sing, and so even at Christmases, it would end up being like a family jam. But also, my parents just had a really deep love of music when I was growing up. Like, I have memories of me waking up on a Saturday and they're blasting music as they're cleaning the house, and just it's always been a part of our lives and everything. You know, my dad and I would go for drives on a Sunday and just listen to classical music, or it's always been there. It's like the soundtrack of our lives, basically. So I think that that's really where I got the love of it. And then my brother was also is a very talented musician, and he's the one that taught me to play guitar. So that definitely influenced me in the sense that, I saw my brother, who's 4 years older than me, and thought he was the coolest, and he plays guitar, and I want to play guitar, and it definitely influenced me in that way as well.
And the other thing, too, when you use that word influence, because you realize when you're up there performing, singing as lead, playing guitar, you're influencing other young women as well, because I can still remember interviewing artists, of course, from back in the day when seeing a female, with a guitar in her hand or drums or something like that, was like, what the hell? Like, that's not supposed to happen. And then here you are yourself, still, I shouldn't use the word still, but keeping that passion alive to influence the next generation. Do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's great if anybody gets influenced by seeing a woman on stage. I needed to see that when I was younger. I didn't see enough of it, but it's kind of like, for me, it was always, well, if the guys can do it, I can do it too. And now, if there's any younger women that see me on stage, inspires them, that would be, that's a top for me. I love that.
Story, though. What kind of stories do you like to tell through your music?
Like through my songs, storytelling?
Yeah.
Most of them have been just personal experiences of mine and kind of the way I view certain situations, or sometimes they're kind of therapeutic writing sessions of me getting through whatever was going on. That's what a lot of my writing has been. Just as of late, because of the pandemic, I've kind of started to explore a bit more into actual stories and creating stories and kind of visualizing them as I write them, which is a lot of fun. But up till then, it was really just personal experiences from my life that I could take and put into a song. I think the lyrics and the melody of a song are some of the most important things. If it tells a good story, if it has, a solid imagery and storytelling, I think that makes a beautiful song.
Then folks who are listening to this whole interview on Rudy Blair Entertainment Media, rudyblairmedia.com, stay tuned, because, man, I cannot wait to talk about Mercy, because that's going to tell a whole lot from what you just said. So, but in the last couple of years, from what I understand, you've cataloged a lot of songs. I mean, what was going on in the last 2 years to have so many great tracks? Well,
I wanted to write, and I've been, I write a lot, a little bit less in the pandemic because you get a little bit unmotivated, but I've started back again. But those 2 years, really, I was going between jobs, working a ton of jobs, not really loving anything but pursuing music the whole time. And it was just the frustration of that and really being uncertain of what I was trying to do, but I just had to get it all out. And I, had been through some bad relationships. I had lived in this terrible apartment, and it just seemed like life was not working out for me. And from that, though, came a lot of really good stories. And as much as it sucks to go through that stuff, it's worth it for the content that I got for my writing. But it was just really a period in my life of a good 2 years where I wasn't happy, and writing was an outlet for me to express myself through that and try to make sense of what was happening, really.
Did you end up with a number one rock single?
I did.
Congrats.
I think I might have.
What's the single?
It is The Rush. That was the one that went number one on all three Canadian media bases for rock and alternative.
What is The Rush about?
So that one was when I was working at those three jobs I was telling you about, and I had gone out with my friends from the bar. We closed down the bar and went out after, as we always did. And I was late going to my receptionist job at the spa. I woke up late and hungover, and it was just, but I really didn't like the job at the spa. So I was running across my apartment trying to get ready, and I just had this idea. And at this point, I was like, screw it. If I'm late, I'm late. And I sat down and I started mumbling out I woke up this morning in a panic. I had my red dress on again. It was kind of like that, those first few lines. So it's really about exactly what it sounds like.
I want to make sure I have it correct. You had an EP and an album, both, or just an EP coming up album?
Yeah, it was the EP, and then the album had some of the songs from the EP and the collection of songs that I had written after that. So I guess it's technically two different things. They came out a year apart.
Okay. And sorry, the EP is called and the album is called?
The EP is called Wild Eyes, Steady Hands, and the album is called Ruthless.
All right. So we've got that. We've got the number one. We got all of that. Folks, I teased about what we're going to talk about Mercy. Let's get into that because, like I said, it is an amazing track to listen to. In fact, close your eyes and just let that song roll. And the images, I can imagine what everybody else is going to have because I know what I had. What is Mercy about, please?
So that song is, like most of my songs, personal experience. And it was when I was living in a terrible apartment, and I had this, and it was the same apartment when I was working those three jobs I didn't really like, and living in this place I didn't want to live in, and it was just not a great time. And to make things worse, I had a really creepy next door neighbor who would, those people where they just kind of freak you out and, you just don't trust them right away and you don't know why, but you just follow your gut. You're like, oh, this person's shady. And he would ask me random questions all the time, like make excuses to talk to me all the time. And it just got to a point where it was getting really creepy and kind of stalkery. And with my next door neighbor, so I literally couldn't escape this guy. Well, then eventually through a very long story that I'll spare the details, but it eventually came out that he had been filming me in my apartment when I was living there for I don't know how long. That was a crazy thing. Like police reports were filed. It was a whole thing. And so for me, Mercy is about taking back and revenge. It's really a revenge song of all the things that I wish I could do to this guy and all the thoughts that you have when somebody tries to steal your sense of security and your sense of self and your sense of safety and everything. It's everything that I wanted him to feel. It's basically me taking my revenge and killing him, which I didn't, for the record.
That's why I mean, but that's what I mean by when I hear that, when I heard that song, there was so much passion, emotion, and all these influences. Wow, that explains everything.
Yeah.
And again, you're the perfect example of taking a very, very bad situation and you turned it into something positive. Is what we definitely need right now. On that positive track, though, what is happening as we're ending 2020, going into 2021? Is there going to be an album? Will there be any virtual performances? What are some of the plans that you have going on for 2021?
Well, 2021, I mean, I'm gearing up to go full steam ahead. I'm working on a new album now, which is, I'm still writing, so there's no date of when it's going to come out, but I'm hoping at some point next year. Because, I mean, what else am I doing with all this downtime? But, so yeah, definitely a new piece of work. And we've been doing some virtual performances, and they've been a lot of fun. I'm really, really hopeful for live music to get started again in 2021 because they have the vaccine, you know, Canada's ordered it out, and then eventually, I mean, I'm hoping that within the year, you know, the general public will have access to it. Now, that's not guaranteed, but it's looking pretty hopeful. We've started to get offers for festivals for next year and things like that, so I'm really just banking on live music coming back next year, full swing, or whatever that looks like. You know, I mean, the first few shows are going to be different, but it'll be kind of the new normal of how we do things, you know. We'll just have to keep evolving and keep going. And if that doesn't happen, then, of course, we're going to do as many live shows or as many virtual shows as we can, which have been a lot of fun. You know, I'll have my two guitar players come over, and we really just like set up the laptop, and there's usually an interactive chat going so you can answer questions and talk to people, and that's been a really good substitute. And the drive-in concerts have also been a lot of fun. I mean, now that it's winter, we can't, but in the fall we did one, and it was so much fun. I was a little bit skeptical at first. I was thinking, oh, well, you know, how personal can it be if you can't see the people because they're in cars and whatever, but I was very pleasantly surprised, and it was a lot of fun. So if we can't do like full-on live shows, then I would do a lot of drive-in. Who knows, maybe a drive-in tour.
Okay. Well, social media is the place to go to make sure that we know everything that you're doing, new music, shows, everything else. Where do we go to follow you?
I'm most active on my Instagram, JJ Wilde. That is, you know, I still run it, and I do the messaging and everything, so I love chatting to people on there, and that's where I post a lot of my performances and everything. But then there's also Facebook, Twitter, the website, but it's all the same, JJ Wilde or JJ Wilde Child.
Amazing. JJ, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, before we go, because I've been asking this to a lot of people, as we're closing down 2020 into 2021, any encouraging words that you want to say to fans out there? You know, people who are going through tough times, and you're the perfect example of somebody who has gone through several tough times and has turned that into a positive. What can you say to those folks who are hoping that they're going to get into that positive mode?
Honestly, I would just say hang on. If you feel like, you know, I know a lot of people are in this situation where they've lost jobs, or, you know, it's a really uncertain time for a lot of people, and that can be really scary. And I think the best thing that I could hold on to when I was going through some really rough parts was just knowing that this is temporary and that this isn't going to be forever. And sometimes it feels like it is, and that's the worst part. It's like sometimes I would feel like I was kidding myself, but then always coming back to, no, this isn't temporary. This will pass. You know, I have to keep looking forward and moving forward and not getting stuck in where I am if I'm unhappy. I feel like that's the best thing that they can do, is to keep hope and keep moving forward and and kind of be their own shining light, because sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you're in a position where you can't see it, so you kind of have to create it for yourself.
Amen to that. JJ, thank you so much again for this interview. Very inspiring. Thank you for the great new single. Thank you for the music, because it's definitely what we need right now, and just letting ourselves just lose ourselves in great songs. And I'm looking forward to everything you're doing in 2021, and cross fingers that the next interview that we do, it can be in person, because I would love to meet you, sit down, and have a great chat with you again like we did today.
Oh, me too. Yeah, this was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully the next one will be in person.
There we go. Thank you so much. Take care. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. And like I said, looking forward to meeting you in 2021. Take care and be safe.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.